Although it's easily marketable as Pinocchio the game, Lies of P deserves so much more when assessing it for its review. Lies of P at first glance might look like its inspirations that you've seen before, and I'm talking games like Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Sekiro, and the genre namesake Darksouls. But new twists and turns to the game based on the classic novel does plenty to make it stand out on its own. Merging the classic tale with the gameplay of some of the medium's most popular games is a strong idea which, from its announcement, has made the game incredibly desirable. Surface level interest aside though, Lies of P also boasts the world, story and combat to back it up, along with most of the accessible fun its creators intended to create. But what exactly is Lies of P about? In the fictional but beautiful 19th century European city of Krat, a town which has relied on the use of automated puppets by creator and master Geppetto, Lies of P begins after the puppet frenzy. Soon following this, the creations of Geppetto turn on the humans and massacre most of the population. You play as P and you awake in an abandoned train station as the humanoid puppet version of Pinocchio. Equipped with just your mechanical left arm as your starting weapon and a strange voice guiding you, it is up to you as Pinocchio to work your way through the deadly puppets and the horrors that await. You'll want to find Geppetto, save Krat from the terrifying chaos that is overtaking it, and find out who you really are. You're initially thrown into the world to explore with little to no story context, and it's as if you're going in blind. Lies of P in its early hours relies on the hard-hitting combat, the elegantly sinister world, and tidbits of lore dropped along the way. This builds up intrigue as you start to meet its slowly expanding cast of characters, even before getting hit by the first ferocious puppet out for blood, culminating with the gorgeously drab gothic-like environments laden with blood, destruction and corpses, is the still underlying sleek but shimmering metropolis of what Krat once was. As you walk through its early areas noticing Pinocchio and his surroundings glistening in the pouring rain, you'll hear the creaks and bustlings of a fallen industrial city which has been overtaken by mechanical monsters and disease. It's very easy to appreciate each stage's own characteristics and features which prevent your curiosity from ever being stagnated. Those who desire a Souls-like game will not be disappointed. After having you pick one of 3 classes and weapon styles to fit your own gameplay type, you'll quickly get acquainted with the fact that fighting enemies in this type of game is initially challenging for the faint-hearted, but oh so satisfying when you finally master it, as well as steadily introducing you to new enemy types as you play along, some of which are interesting surprises for even more diversity. You'll be met with base enemies with peculiar attack patterns which allow you to regularly change up your standard guard, dodge, attack style of gameplay and learn a new pattern which suits that certain enemy type. You can definitely dodge attacks, but mistiming might result in a brutally punishing smash as you get hit and lose your HP. You can guard but still lose a bit of health, but a perfect guard executed with the right movement will block all damage and further charge your Fable Arts meter, which you can spend to use special attacks tied to your weapon. Even if you think you've mastered the timings of one particular enemy before you try a perfect guard, that cheeky puppet might carry out a slowed attack to throw you off and follow it with a strike from a different direction. Getting used to fighting off murderous mechanical butlers, policemen and attack dogs can be tricky at first, but you'll appreciate the fantastically smooth sword swings as you get used to it, even if you've never played a Souls-like game before. That's even more so in the game's ideal performance-centered mode on PS5 and Xbox Series X, aiming for 60 FPS and 2160p upscaled resolution. The alternative 30 frames per second targeting quality centered mode does make for some visual enhancements like upgraded reflections and shadows along with a higher native resolution, but unless you've got access to a 120Hz display to utilize the optional high frame rate feature, the sluggish by comparison movement of enemies and Pinocchio himself does little else besides take away from part of the experience. What players may have become enamored with more than anything though is the numerous layers that have been added via the crafting system and build customization. After unlocking your home base at Hotel Krat, you'll get access to an increasing number of ways to optimize your build of weapons, character stats, and even your mechanical Legion arm for tons of creative experiments and as much creativity as you like. Most notably at the forefront is weapon assembly. This comes either via the hotel's dedicated weaponsmith or one of the game's numerous Stargazer fast travel points. You can swap around your blade or handle one of the game's 30 different types of weapons, with a seemingly infinite number of combos to try out. Honestly, there's more than 100 different combinations according to the developer. Whilst you can buy weapon upgrades and items to aid in combat, the fact that Lies of P uses the same currency, called Ergo, to level up your stats also means you may have to prioritise between buffing your character or enhancing your weaponry. Also, some of the extra systems to this extent may seem superfluous, depending on what type of player you are. Nevertheless, if you're a fan of weapon customization, you'll have no trouble spending hours trialing different weapon combos of varied stats, attributes, and Fable Arts special attacks to fit your playstyle or discover a brand new one. In tandem with the style of weapon that you're using, you'll also need to incorporate the Legion arm, your interchangeable left arm with more models of different abilities to choose from as you move forward with the story. For example, the first additional arm you unlock is called Puppet Strings, which works as a grappling hook to lure enemies in and make them stumble closer to you. This is quick for getting extra hits in and good for crowd control by isolating individual enemies to pick them off one at a time. Larger puppets are immune to Puppet Strings grapple hook, making Fluminis, an electricity-based Legion arm, far more ideal for inflicting damage as well as slowing down huge foes like those in boss battles. Those who've played past games that incorporate prosthetic mechanics like Devil May Cry 5 and Sekiro will be right at home here. But the Legion arm is but another delightful addition to Lies of P's already vast range of experimentation. Lies of P is still minimally difficult on the level that the Souls-like genre is known for. Be that as it may, it's mostly the good type of difficulty. One where a player new to this manner of game is pushed out of their comfort zone to further strategize, hone the right playstyle, and revel in the thrill of victory when it comes to the game's enraging bosses. Even if you initially still feel ill-equipped to deal with Lies of P's standard level of combat, there are extra mechanics in place to help make things even easier for you if you wish to use them. An example of this is using the P organ skill tree to unlock more pulse cells for HP recovery, or acquiring an AI Spectre to help fight alongside you in boss fights. However, even experienced Souls-like players may find issue with one or two of the boss encounters following the Lies of P demo, with such a sharp difficulty curve in spots that may make some players want to tear their hair out. Lies of P is a brilliantly enchanting Souls-like experience for both those new and experienced with the genre. It brings together the gameplay of counterparts and its source material for a unique experience altogether. There are some obtrusive gameplay difficulty spikes along the way, along with an extraordinary combination of its worlds, combat and narrative that will still make you want to see more of its world and give you more of a desire to overcome its obstacles. For a game based on a story that's been told what feels like an endless amount of times, Lies of P is truly one of a kind. For even more things Lies of P, don't forget to like, follow and subscribe to GG Recon Gaming. I've been Ollie and I'll catch you next time.